All right, welcome to the One Life podcast, and we are here with Kaleena and Aaron Amuchastegui, the co-authors of the 5-Hour School Week Explained, or 5-Hour School Week, and the title of today is Explained because you see that, and I remember when Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, came out, and everybody, it caught a big buzz, and some people loved it and some people hate it. I imagine that some people are going to react similarly, and some people are going to say, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. And then some people are going to go, that sounds crazy, and that kind of thing will never work. So I'm excited to dig in because I selfishly just had a little one, and we are excited about getting him on the 5-Hour School Week plan as soon as possible. But I'm excited to dig into the story and how it came about and what's going on. So welcome. Thank you so much, Aaron and Kaleena, for spending some time with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Hector.
Yeah, Hector, thanks for the invite. And what a perfect way to tee it up too, because that's been like one of the big reactions, right? When you first started posting 5-Hour School Week, people were like, all right, I want to dig in, I want to learn more. And then there'd be just as many people that would say, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Or I homeschool too, but there's no way you can teach them what they need in 5 hours a week. I mean, as you first start to get your story out there and be willing to share it with the world, you know you're going to see all different angles. But that's kind of like the intent of the book too. Like we are intent and extreme with it. And so you're going to get all walks of people that love that. And then also trying to dig in, but it is what's advertised, right?
Yep.
And the book goes into a lot of the details in the process of it.
So let's talk about the why behind it, because we were chatting before we started recording about some of the necessities of being a parent and how it changes your lifestyle dramatically. And I'd imagine that you guys, having a family, having an active family, doing sports and traveling and living in, various states can make the whole education process challenging. So I'm curious for you guys what the whole story was. I'd love to get into kind of the actual production of the book, but like before the book was even thought about, before you guys had even, envisioned it as this book, this system, like where did that begin, and what was kind of the seeds of the whole dynamic?
Yeah, so I think the why for us really started with just this overall dissatisfaction and discontent of our life. Like Aaron and I had followed the path that we were told to follow. We jumped through all of the hoops. We went through the education system. We had built amazing businesses. We had gotten married. We had a beautiful family. Our businesses became successful. Like we were literally living the dream, and we couldn't have been more unhappy. And so out of that discontentment, and just a lot of pain and like going through trying to figure out what we actually wanted in life, we changed our life significantly. Aaron read The 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss, which we were just talking about. And so in our quest to find something better for our life, we realized that we needed to find something better for our kids' life. And so that was ultimately the goal. It was that realizing as our life is changing and we're like, we need to live the best version of our life. We need to change our priorities. And as we were changing ourselves, we're like, hey, we're so discontent with our kids being at school every day. I was going, like at the end of the day, I was going to bed just telling Aaron, like, I got the leftovers of our kids. Like our kids are at school for the best hours of the day. Other people were getting the best of our kids, the quality hours of the day with our children. And I was just getting the leftovers, and I was like a super unhappy mom. I was sad. Like I was really sad at the end of the day. And our life
sounds like the typical like 70s, 80s wife who like leftovers of the husband who came home after this drudgery day, and are left with the leftovers. So how ironic that you're now taking that with that same kind of mentality and standing up for yourselves with the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you do to what did that look like when you kind of got fed up, or like were you guys homeschooling, or like what did that kind of look like when you first started thinking about it?
Even like the unhappiness part she talks about too, it was this gradual process.
Yeah.
Right. Because you first you keep building and you go, okay, all right, next year when the business is going good, we're going to start relaxing. Or once you get this other thing, we're going to start relaxing. So for a long time, we knew that we weren't quite where we wanted to be. but we were like, but when we get to this point, it'll get better, and get this point and get better. And then we had finally like checked all the boxes and done everything we were told to do. And we kind of went like, wow, like it feels like a month has gone by and it just flew by like that. And wow, we haven't been getting this experience with our kids. So the discomfort and we started to talk about like, hey, this isn't what it was supposed to be, kind of more and more gradual. And then we started to have opportunities to educate ourselves and meet other people and just kind of start seeing some different experiences that were out there. So at first it was just kind of questioning the system. Like, hey, gosh, is this all there is? Do we have to do it like this? And we always just did it like that because that's the way it was always done. We just accepted, no, like sometimes life isn't fair. Sometimes life isn't fun. You just do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, even if we just have to suck it up and do it, and it was kind of like, there were a couple of things that started planting that seed bigger. You had Matt and you had Jim and we had Yosemite. What are some of those things?
Right. So it was a really interesting process for us because as we were changing our life and we were getting out of this huge mess that we had kind of created and saying we wanted something more, as we made shifts in our path and the way that we were changing our life, these new people and new opportunities started presenting themselves. So the girls were actually going to a private Christian school. I'd had them in a traditional school for like 6 years. Maddie, our youngest, had been in school from preschool, like at 3 years old, until I pulled her out right after third grade. So like our vice principal of our private school, he left, like loved the guy. He was my favorite administrator, leaves to go start an acting school. Like he ups and leaves. His kids are becoming school age. And he's like, hey, I can't even like send my kid to a traditional school. I need to start a school in our community. So, and then we joined GoBundance, right? Aaron joins GoBundance. We end up going to a FamBundance event and Jim and Jamie Shields are there and they're talking about the family board meeting and they're talking about the education matrix. And so these little seeds we're changing our lifestyle, and these seeds about educating our kids differently are just being like dropped in our laps as we're just kind of creating a new path. And so, I mean, it was a process though. We ended up going on a couple of vacations to try it out. We're just like brainstorming, like, what could this look like for our family? What's going to work best for what we actually need? And then one day we just kind of said, we were just done with it. Like it was parent teacher conferences. And I walked into the girls' school and I really just kind of prayed right before I went in. And I'm just like, give me a sign. Like if this is for our family, like we've had all of this knowledge dumped into our laps over the last 9 months. Like there's obviously a reason. And when I went in, I was just so assured in our decision. I walked out of there as a homeschool mom. I just easily told all 3 teachers, we love you. We love what you do. Your work is so important, but we're on a new journey.
Yeah, there's a couple of fun steps in there that are probably great for the One Life podcast in particular, because One Life had some big roles in that. And Matt was our first inspiration that gave Kaleena a bunch of different books to read, and they were about different like free to learn and ways that kids learn and the history of education, which made us start questioning things. And Jim and Jamie, when they talk about the education matrix, they talk about these are all the things that the skills you really need in life that aren't taught in school. And that was like mind blowing, but still we were like, okay. And we'd go back to school. And then we went on, some friends and I had booked a trip to Yosemite like a year prior. So we decided to go to Yosemite for a week. And it's a week or 2 weeks or something like that. But what we weren't planning on, we were like, all right, we're going to pull the kids out of school. We're going to bring their homework. They'll do their homework. I'll do my work stuff. And we get there and there's no Wi-Fi, no internet access, no phone access. And we had forgot Maddie's homework, so we instead we're like, all right, well, I guess we're in it. So then every day we'd go do these hikes and go on these ranger tours and learn about glaciation and learn about, the birds. And then we'd go meet with rangers at night. So we were learning, our kids were learning for that week, like all about nature, tons of different education about the world, waterfall hikes, really fun experiences as a family. And then, where the 5-hour school week pretty much comes from is, so then we get home like that Sunday night. So we had this awesome week away, like so fantastic, learned so much about life skills and fun. And it's Sunday night and all of a sudden Maddie goes, all right, but now the reality of school is again tomorrow. And I still have this homework to do. And, and the 4-hour work week is a concept that I've, talked about at One Life and some different concepts. And so we got back. I said, you know what, Maddie, let's just sit down and focus. Let's get all your homework out. You know, we're going to cram, we're going to knock it out. We're going to get it done. And over the next couple hours, she just stayed focused. So we did one project and another and another. And one of the things I had to teach her in that homework was long division. And we talk about that several different times because everybody remembers when they learned long division as a kid. And she's like, wow, I missed that week. And that's when they did it. So we go through it and she's getting this one-on-one focus. And at the end of it, she finishes all of her homework, a week's worth of homework, and she's amazed and so relieved. And we go to school the next day, we drop her off and she's feeling good. And we go to pick her up from school that day. We pick up the kids. And it was so funny when Maddie got in the car, we said, so how did you do? How was it being back? And she goes, Dad, I'm the only one in my class that knows how to do long division. They didn't even get to it last week. Yeah. And so we were like, wow. So that's really kind of like the epitome and the concept of the 5-hour school week. It's based on 4-hour work week principles. Like, hey, if you wait and you cram everything into a short period of time and you have focus with no distractions, you can accomplish so many different things. At that time, though, we still didn't know it was going to be the 5-hour school week. You know, and then we went back to school and we said, all right, that was fun, but we can't really adopt that lifestyle yet. Several months later, I was actually speaking at One Life in Sacramento, and I was on stage telling people about the 4-hour work week and encouraging them to try these principles and only work an hour a day and, you know, do these different things of focus. And the second to last question was a gal that's a friend of ours now that I hadn't met at the time. And she stood up and goes, okay, so I'm really curious about, you tell us to do this for our lives. I'm really curious about how you do this with your kids and their education. At that time, I was kind of just stumped for a second, and I held it for a couple of seconds, and I think we've got a One Life video of it somewhere. And I was like, that's a really good question, because at that time, we knew we didn't like education. We knew we didn't like the system. We knew it wasn't quite working. And the only story I could come up with was like, well, we're not really there, but we had this experience in Yosemite where she got a whole week's worth of stuff done in 2 hours. And so I guess that's our closest version of it. and after that, that was another step in it. But the reason I wanted to jump back to that step was really just to give One Life credit for some of that, right? Because it was the inspiration getting to talk to people that got to be part of that story.
It's great to see that you guys kind of took the traditional path, because Kaleena, you answered my question in the sense that a lot of people are out there saying, I think even Diane, she says that she works for a school district and she doesn't even want her own kids to go to public schools. And it's how unfortunate, Aaron, we're in business and we always talk about, you have to believe in what you sell and to be doing the antithesis of that, and then your product being education has got to be, I don't know, that's got to be doing something. That would do stuff to my soul. Yeah. So Kaleena, for you, I know you're the one in the trenches, Aaron, take
my part of the story ends right there.
Yeah.
And then it's all the way this way.
So let's talk about, because there's a ton of moms who go, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds amazing. But, and I think that I'm always trying to play devil's advocate for these buts. Maybe it's, but I have to work, but my kid's in school, but we can't homeschool. But I'm sure you guys have hit a lot of those objections. What are some of those, if I didn't catch any, what are some of those common resistances that people have to this whole new methodology? And then what are some of you guys' answers to that resistance?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think number one, what I hear more than anything else is it comes out in a lot of different things, but what it is more than anything else is I'm afraid. I'm so afraid I'm going to mess up my kids. I'm so afraid what other people are going to say. I'm so afraid that I'm not going to know how to do it. There's a lot of reasons that people get really afraid of this process. I think a lot of it is because there's a lot of negative connotation around homeschool. There's this dialogue that has been just kind of given out into our society about homeschoolers being weird and different and not learning the same, not being able to go to college or get degrees. There's a lot of misinformation out there about homeschool. So I think A, fear. I think B, the number two thing I hear all the time is oh my gosh, what about how do you socialize them? That's a scary thing for people. And you have them home all day. What about you time? I think that those are the top three things that I hear. And I think it really all boils down to fear. So what do I say? I mean, I say you have to get creative with this process. What's most important to your family, what values you want to bring into your home and into your child's life. The way that Aaron and I do it is not going to look the same as how other people do that. And that's a really important factor of the 5-hour school week. I needed someone to give me permission to walk through that fear, to say, go look for something different for your kids. Like every morning I was dropping them off and I would have this pit in my stomach because I'd learned all this stuff that I couldn't unlearn. Like I knew that my kids were sitting at this desk 7 hours a day, and I didn't necessarily love everything that was happening during the school day, right? Like there were things that they were learning or not learning and social situations that they were in that all of a sudden my eyes had been open to. And like, I just became not okay every single day having them there. I was not okay dropping my kids off 40 hours a week somewhere else. And so I needed someone to say, it's okay to look for something different. It's okay not to jump through those hoops. And, so that's the number one, right? That's what the book is about. That's why we have the 5-hour school week, is to give the permission to just walk through the fear, go scared into homeschooling, and know that your journey is going to look completely different than anybody else's. It's just the beauty of homeschool. Technically making it easy and giving some advice is it's so easy now. Like we live in this world where everything that you want to learn is literally a click away. We have endless amount of resources for curriculum and apps and programs, most of all that are like free of charge. There's tutoring systems and supplemental programs. There's hybrid homeschooling now. There's different charter schools. I mean, the possibilities are becoming endless. And so I think that number one, it's about walking through the fear and evaluating what's not working and what you want, like what changes that you want to see, and then just getting creative on how to implement them. So
I'd imagine that it's a big step, right? Because I think a lot of parents, and maybe this is just a generational thing, but I know that my parents and a lot of their friends saw school as like this daycare where you drop your kids off and it was kind of like checkout time. Now it's time for me to go run errands or whatever it is. And so I guess you kind of answer that in that there's not one size fits all for everybody.
Right, exactly.
There's not one methodology that's going to work for every type of family. So I think that's a great point, because there's someone out there who's just naturally saying, well, that doesn't work. Well, that's not the point. So you talked about some of these, you listed off a ton of them, and I have no idea what any of those are. So that's great, because you mentioned all these different models. I think about homeschooling is the kid stays at home and, I don't know what happens. I have no clue.
Right.
I don't have what kids would talk about homeschooling kids is like that weirdo that stayed in that house that never came outside. Right. That was like, it was like I don't know if you guys ever saw, I think it was Jack with Robin Williams.
Yes.
Where he's like, stays in the house. He's like this weird kid and like never comes outside. I think that's how people think of, at least, how a lot of my friends thought of homeschooling. So what does go on? What does a daily life, a day in the life of a kid kind of look like? What does that look like for a mom? And maybe what are some of the things that you guys focus on, or I don't know, kind of take me through some of those systems and models that you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so interesting because every day looks absolutely different. And one thing that I want to point out really quick though, is when I say, oh, there's endless possibilities, there's so many options, don't let that overwhelm you. Instead, like step into that as like, it's great hope. Like there is something that's going to fit your lifestyle and your family, whether you work from home, whether you have jobs, whether both parents work or don't. I am starting to get stories from people that really get super creative in educating their kids, and it's mind blowing. So I just want to say that because people go, I don't even know where to start. And like, I didn't know where to start either. Honestly, when we started this process, I had started seeing commercials on TV for K12.com. And it's just like, homeschool your kids. And it was this beautiful commercial that made it look so simple. And so I'm like, you know what? We're just going to do K12.com. It's perfect. Like easy. They send us the curriculum, whatever. And so I research K12.com. I call in, I'm going to sign them up. And that's like literally school at your house. Like they want your kids to sit at their kitchen table on a computer for like 5 hours a day and like clock all of this work. And I'm like, why in the world would I pull my kids out of school and put myself and my kids through that same torture? Like, no, thank you. That was not our homeschooling like vision. That's not the dream of what we wanted for the kids. So we just started evaluating like, okay, what do we want to learn? What's important to us? And so obviously like growth mindset is a really big deal for us. I knew Izzy wanted to learn how to read. Like I pulled her out as a kindergartner. Charlotte was just going into multiplication tables. So I really just asked the kids. How I started our homeschool journey is I literally sat down with the kids and I said, okay, what do we want to learn? And I had a big whiteboard and I just started writing it down. Here are the things we wanted. The girls wanted to learn about volcanoes. We were going to Hawaii. So it's like, we want to learn about volcanoes. Charlotte wanted to learn about cheetahs and how to write a report. And we just started listing things like, this is how we're going to learn it. And then I just started typing in like, how do we learn about cheetahs? Like, let's just Google all day long. I just Googled and I started finding amazing programs like Khan Academy, right? Free. If you want to know anything about the education system and you're just starting off, go to the TED Talk by Sal Khan. His quick TED Talk is amazing and it'll just like blow your mind. So that's what we did. Like I just started finding ways to implement and support and facilitate the kids' education and let them learn the things that they wanted to learn most. And so our days look really different. Right now we're at home, we're not traveling. So we get up and we've fallen into this really organic schedule where the girls get up and they shower and they make their own breakfasts and they kind of play. They go into their computer work. We're filming a passion project right now because we're headed off to Iceland. And so we just, throughout the day, we have all these little projects and these goals and intentions that we set for ourselves. And it works. And then half the time we're not even home. We're out, we're traveling, we're going to museums, we're on a field trip, we're in Haiti, we're hanging out with GoBundance, and so we kind of just remain really flexible and know that change is going to happen constantly. Like I have a list of things I would love to accomplish, but I don't put like this strict pressure on like, we have to cross it off. Because learning happens in like so many different stages that you have to leave like this open environment for them to be able to spend more time in something. I say we do an hour of learning a day, but typically what happens is we'll start something that they'll become really passionate about. And then that's where they end up for hours at a time. And so it's just about like creating an environment that they can do that in.
When I get to see it like in the house now, it's just very different than what life was before. Like our mornings are so much different than what life was before. A big part of what the people have with fears of homeschooling is they go, no, I drop my kid off for 7 or 8 hours. When they come home, I can't sit next to them for 7 or 8 hours. I can't get them to stay at a computer for that long. My kid won't be able to settle down. And we say, exactly, but why are we forcing them to do that somewhere else? We talk about that, that hour a day. That hour a day is for that focused learning where Kaleena has them on different programs where they'll sit and they'll learn reading today or math today or English. And that's where they get to do all their stuff that keeps up with all the friends they used to go to school with. So they are in that hour a day, they're doing the normal school curriculum and they keep, passing grades and they keep getting past the age level they're supposed to be. And then the whole rest of the day, they get to do all sorts of stuff. So an hour a day of like the curriculum that everyone else is doing, and they have a full day to play and build stuff or research cheetahs or do the passion projects. So it's not that they're getting behind on the normal schoolwork stuff. It's that they're getting that done using the 4-hour work week, technology type stuff. And then they do learning so much more about life and the fun stuff and what they want to do. And where our mornings used to be like alarm clock goes off and it's a race. And we're funneling kids through the shower and we're feeding them and we're packing their bags and we're racing and we're dropping them off to school. And it's like stressful. Now they pretty much, you guys wake up when you want.
Yeah.
It gets to be slow process. They get to then make breakfast. They get to have just an awesome morning. And so their first couple hours of the day, they're like getting ready for the day. And like she said, they might get right into schoolwork to check off their list. Or they might say, you know, we're going to play for a few hours first. We've got this project we're working on. They've got a craft shack outside. Oh, we got this craft that we need to go do. So it still is, it just feels so much different. And so when I get to walk in and see their happiness and with Kaleena's happiness and the girls, the mornings used to be the worst part of the day. And then just in time when we get them prepped, we're handing them off to somebody else. Now we get like all that fun time, all that good time Kaleena gets with them.
Yeah, I'd love to ask, you talked about it a little bit, what some of the effects on the kids are, you know, what a lot of the, you know, I think the hesitation or that fear that you talked about might be, well, I don't want to take the kids away from their friends, or I don't want to, you know, pull them out of whatever kind of routine or system that they're going, you know, through. But I think that you mentioned that there are even more benefits on the other side. So what have you seen from the kids outside of the, you know, the benefits for you guys and kind of the, partially, I'm like, I think this is an awesome thing selfishly for me. But I think that it also provides even more value for the kids. So can you talk about what they're getting out of the kind of the change that you guys have gone through?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, honestly, I'm glad that you asked that because it's my favorite part. We talk a lot about in the book about our oldest, Maddie. Unfortunately, she's our first, so she was our guinea pig, right? And so she just got the brunt of all the hoops that we had jumped through, making sure she jumped through them properly as well. And by the time she was like a first grader, we had like a really anxious, stressed out kiddo on our hands. Seriously, we had her in summer school at the age of 5 to make sure that she could keep up. And so when I think about that, and I think about
when she was already advanced.
When she was already advanced. I mean, so when we took her out, I took them out in the first quarter of her 4th grade year. Maddie was reading at a 7th grade level. She was having massive anxiety attacks 2 to 3 days out of the week before I would drop her off at school. She came home exhausted and worn out and stressed. Like I would say 4 to 5 days out of the week, she probably ended the night in tears. So that was happening, number one. So that doesn't happen anymore. That's probably my biggest thing, as I just see this immense growth in confidence and happiness, and this time that we really get to work on the growth mindset factor of just being able to own our feelings and be aware of who we are and be aware of even what anxiety is and how that's affecting us and what to do with it. So the things that I'm seeing that are the most positive in the kids are just in their emotional intelligence, I guess I would say. As a family, I feel like we're just so much happier. We are making, I said it the other day and it hit me kind of hard. I even teared up. I'm like, in the last 2.5 to 3 years, since we started this transformation and this new journey, we have lived more life as a family than we did in the 10 years previous. And so I just have to say, like, the amount of memories, the connection, the presentness that we're having as a family. And my kids just, if you meet them, you will know that they love life. We have just really joyful, happy kids that love big experiences. They're willing to try new things. They're fairly flexible. They're super social and can carry on conversations with adults, which I don't see that in a lot of kids outside like our community that we're in. They are adaptable in new groups. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest things, and I think that it's so important, is, you know, in the community that you're in and that we're in, is we always say, like, we are the sum of the 5 people that we hang out with, right? And so we choose our friends carefully. We make sure that the people that we surround ourselves add value to our lives and that we're adding value to theirs. And the bummer about the school system is they don't allow that for our children. We're forced, like, these are your 30 friends regardless. You sit next to them in class, you go to recess with them, you're going to eat with them every day, you're going to invite them to your birthday parties, and you're really not given a choice. Like, these are your people. And I think that we do our children a huge disadvantage when we just say, these are your people, instead of saying, like, who do you want in your life? Who are you going to choose to be a part of your life, to add value to your life? And what was really interesting after I took them out of school is Maddie would receive like play date invites or slumber parties or just like all these invitations from kids back at school when he had taken her out. And we came to this really interesting realization with her when she started to say like, you know, Mom, like I really like that girl, but those other girls didn't make me feel very good about myself. Like I didn't feel very good about who I was when I hung out with them. And I'd rather not sleep over at that birthday party. I don't want to be around all 12 of those girls because they aren't all very kind. And when she knew that she had a choice in who she was going to have in her life and not have in her life, there's this amazing like confidence and freedom that kids have. And so far we've been really impressed with the choices and friends that our kids are picking. Like they're very selective, and it's one of the most beautiful processes, honestly, that I feel like in this journey.
Yeah. You know, if we were going to ask them, like say, hey, what do you like about this? They'd probably, you know, they'd say all that. They get to have the freedom of choosing who their friends are. They get to choose what their extracurricular activities are. Because they're not going to school for 8 hours a day, they get to choose all these extra things. They can do taekwondo, they can do soccer, they can do different stuff like that. And they'd probably say, hey, we get to learn whatever we want.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's one of the most exciting stuff. Like kids want to learn. One of the problems is when you force them to learn something that isn't exciting, but when you let them, you know, choose, then that it also amplifies because they're super excited about learning this. So they focus extra. So they get to, they get to learn whatever they want now, along with checking the boxes. Now it's like opened up this day, and they get to have a lot more fun, you know, and we get to support them on whatever they're going to try. And for us, we choose to travel. Other people will choose to do other things with their extra time. But I think overall they get to say their life, you know, I think they really just love their life in general because it's a lot more about their choice and what they want instead of what they're being told they have to do.
And never discount play. Erin was like, if we asked them what they would like, I just heard Izzy's little voice in my head go, I like that we play so much, because she says that all the time. Because I ask them, like, we check in, right? Like, how's this working for you guys? Are you guys happy? Can we fix things? We evaluate pretty often our lifestyle.
Right.
And Izzy always says, like, I like that we play so much. And that playfulness and that creativity, we have to remember, like, the most like successful minds, the people that we look up to the most, like they never lost that ability to play and that like curiosity. And so I love that, like our kids, like we are fostering that, like we are constantly fostering like play. Yes. Keep playing in that game, keep being an imagination. Like don't stop to come and take a test. Like I would much rather my kids play Legos and dolls all day long instead of take a test and check the box.
Yeah. Being able to also teach like some of the education matrix type stuff, like they're starting businesses all the time. You know, Maddie has started different businesses and they've been pretty darn successful at a few of them, and like public speaking and just other stuff that when I was their age, I didn't have a clue on. So it's not just that they're checking the boxes, now getting to choose their life and choose whatever extracurricular and travel. They're also getting all these life skills that are putting them way ahead of where we were at their age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I want to say congratulations for this journey that you guys have taken, and I think it's, Aaron, we both kind of follow Russell Brunson, and I don't know if he said it, but he's kind of popularized it in saying that the people who go first kind of get the arrows in the back, and you guys are definitely, you know, being willing to take some arrows, and I want to, you know, thank you for pioneering it, because I think that everyone's been talking about the education system. The education system is a problem, but no one has really offered a solution. Everyone's just been pointing at the problem and looking around for everyone else to do something about it. But you guys have realized the problem and done something about it. And then in a big way, I wanted to say congratulations, because you guys are now the #1 bestseller in non-formal education on Amazon. Yeah. So that is so awesome. Congratulations on that. The name of the book, it's called 5 Hour School Week, an inspirational guide to leaving the classroom to embrace learning in a way you never imagined. I think it's a great title. Talk to me like specifically about the book and writing the book. You guys are not authors. You guys are not publishers. You guys are like, you know, when I heard that you guys were writing a book, I'm like, oh, that like, not that I'm surprised, like it makes total sense, but you guys are doing so many other things that now you threw a best-selling author on top of it. it actually just makes sense. So what was the book writing process throughout raising a family, running multiple businesses, traveling, and all that kind of stuff? And then now the fact that it worked, it's here, people are loving it. This is our most live viewed podcast recording that we've done out of the last 12, 13 that we've done in this series. So people are interested, they're intrigued in it. So what was that process like in actually writing the book, taking it to market? I love the cover. Can you talk a little about that?
I want to jump in just really quick to the idea that like being the people that are jumping in with the getting some arrows in the back, that was really a big part of why we were doing our journey, and Kaleena would like make Facebook posts and people just kept asking her all these questions. Yeah. And when we were starting it, we felt very alone. We felt like there weren't very many resources. We would find a few people few and far between. But part of why I started, she used all these questions. I said, you need to start writing it down. You start writing it down and do this, because people need to know they're not alone. If nothing else, the whole point is that somebody can go, hey, my life doesn't feel quite right. Maybe they're questioning what they want to do. So they're going to pick up the book and start reading it to question it. So we just really appreciate that. Made us both really smile as you acknowledge, because that was part of the goal, was just to help some people, get to know that there's other options out there. When it comes to the process of writing a book, I mean, it was a long process.
It was crazy.
We were doing calls with putting the outline together while we're driving through. I remember we were like driving through downtown Austin, and the kids are in the back, and we're doing a call with an editor to get some different things going. It was lots of recording time, lots of transcribing time, and then Kaleena just spent the last few months on, it was like the first 18 months was a long process. Yeah. Her last few months, it was like she was digging in like long days every day to really make take ownership and really make it what it is.
Well, it's an interesting book because as we were writing, it was actually evolving. And so the book, the first manuscript of the book, by the time that we got it, our life had changed so dramatically because we were like, it was happening in real time. And so, we had started the book, and then I got the first manuscript like 9 months later. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we've gone on all these other trips. I've learned with the kids and experimented all of this stuff. All of this stuff is coming to fruition. Like, I need to get more of this other stuff that's been happening into the book. So what ended up happening is I ended up pretty much rewriting it. And I love it now. I absolutely love it. It couldn't be more like true to who we were and just like such a labor of love. But living it, living this lifestyle that has us constantly going, where, I mean, I do get up between, 4 and 5 every day. Aaron and I are like early risers, and we go all day, and we have our kids, and we have events, and we travel, and we have businesses. And so, it was a labor of love. It took a lot of work. It took a lot longer than what our publisher was thinking it was going to take. And so, but I think that the timing is perfect because we were able to add so much stuff to it.
It's like the second version is like 100 pages shorter, actually. Yeah. Right. And when we started, it was a concept, but we were also afraid to tell people it worked because we didn't quite have the proof yet. Yeah. So at the beginning, it was like, this is what it is, but we'd throw out the ideas out there. So go find your own way.
Yeah. Like, but in theory, give it a try.
So, but now when it was finally like, all right, so long later from the time we started, now we've been in it for a while and gotten to see what's next. Then it's like, all right, it was rewriting it, recapturing it. And now there is proof. Now we have seen our kids are still at the grade level they're supposed to be in this, but now they also have this, and this too. And we still are a year later happy doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not for everybody. Homeschooling isn't for everybody, but we wanted to encourage everybody to do what's going to make them the happiest and their kids the happiest. And now we have the proof of going, yeah, we're still the happiest. But it was a really funny process. But it's a great point, Rita, to say at the end when it was finally like buckle down and finish this thing, it was just different because instead of it being a concept, it was a strategy, it was points, it was proof, it was examples. And it was subbing in different stories and experiences from all sorts of different places.
Well, it took me a long time to kind of warm up to the idea. Honestly, Aaron's the one that calls me, after a One Life conference, our kids are still in school. And he was like, listen, I got the URL for the 5-hour school week. We got it spelt out with the 5. We've got the number 5. Like, this is going to be a thing. And I'm like, our kids are in school, dude. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so then I bite the bullet, and now we're homeschooling. And he's like, okay, so what about the 5-hour school week? Like, I think this is a book. I think you should start blogging, like take videos every day. I'm like, dude,
by then people were reaching out to her though.
Yes,
every day.
Every
people
day.
she had never met, never heard from, were finding her on Facebook and going, hey, I've seen your pictures. What are you doing? So yeah, I was pushing because everyone else was pushing.
But I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to survive. Like, now I've got 4 kids at home and I'm homeschooling, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And he's like, no, this is a thing though. And I'm like, it's a thing that I'm trying to survive. Like, so it took me time to warm up to this. Like, it really was him dragging me, saying, we've got something good here. And it wasn't until like 6 months ago that I passionately drove into delivering a message. When I just I realized what it was that I needed so badly was just that permission, like go scared, like just that permission. Like, it's okay to do something different.
Go first.
Yeah. Go first. Like, try it. If it's on your heart, then there's a reason for that. Like, things aren't just like random. Like, if something is like in the pit of your stomach and you feel called to something on like day after day, especially regarding your children, follow that. Like, why are you going something that's like a natural instinct? And so that is where my passion for the book now has lain, like why it's like come up so much more in the last half a year. Is just like, I think that, I just think there's so many of us now. Obviously, there's just so many people that are just receiving the book just much more positively than I had anticipated, honestly. And so it's really exciting.
It's been a super fun launch too.
Yeah, it really has.
Because first it's like our friends and family and the people that we know, like our One Life community and GoBundance, and we got the people close to us sharing it, and we've got the people that are signed up for Kaleena's newsletter sharing it, and following us on Facebook. And then we started to, and then now in just a couple of days, it's bestseller status. She's getting messages from several people saying, come get on the podcast, come speak over here, like come share the message. The coolest stuff is people reading it going, I feel like I know exactly what you're saying. Like the story of the pain, I feel exactly like that. And I've been starting to question it. Like we said, I would tell Kaleena, if there's one person out there that gets to read it and we get to inspire them, like that's the goal. And the first couple of days has just been so awesome because it's obviously well exceeded just one person getting inspired.
Yeah.
Well, I want to selfishly thank you because I had always said that I'm not sending my kid to a normal school, and I didn't know what the answer would be. I didn't know what the solution would be. I just said not doing that because of all the things we talked about. And I remember a few months before our son was born, Charlene was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do Kaleena's system, okay?" And if you know my wife, I just say yes. I'm like, "Yep, okay." What? It sounds good. If you want to, like, that's your domain. So whatever you want to do, and I'm just you inspired her in a way for sure, because it's great to see the time that she spent, but then to give some structure to it and to give like you said, the permission, because she dropped our son off. It was her birthday yesterday, and she had a spa day, and she felt bad dropping our kid off at her grandma's house. And it's just like, I can see that, just giving moms a space to be more involved with their kid's life, and giving them an actual solution to that, I think is a beautiful thing for sure.
Can I speak to that really quick?
Yeah.
Something that's super important just for all the moms out there, because I think one of the things that I touched on is one of the biggest fears is like, what about my time now? Like, our kids are going to be home all the time and there's no break. And I think it's so important that I just put it out there. Like, this is not about this huge sacrifice as a family. This is about thriving as a family. So Aaron is really involved and a super hands-on partner with me. And he really creates space so that I get those spa days, or I can do sometimes I'll just go grocery shopping by myself. I'll pour into my blog and things that make me creative. He makes space so that I can get my exercise. And so I just want to remind parents, any parents that are already homeschooling or going out on this journey, this is supposed to be really enjoyable. Like you are supposed to be thriving and loving your life. You are supposed to be stepping into your best life, not sacrificing, like feeling like this is a super sacrificial thing and like, oh, I have to be at home with my kids and it's so stressful. Like this is supposed to be working and adding value to everybody's life. And so just the mamas out there, especially, I just want to make, like, we have built in like a system, like we have a girl that comes over during the worst hours of the day, right? Like I get the best hours of the day. And then at 3 o'clock, I have somebody come over twice a week and like hang out with the kids so I can do some laundry and like get out of here for a few hours. Like find a system that works for you to take care of yourself. Cause I don't want it to sound like, oh, I just get up early every day and I'm with my kids all day long and I cook dinner and it's just super easy, because it's not, right? I have 4 kids and it's exhausting. And so just have that support, build in a support system. Husbands, be that support system, or find that community of people that, you know, you can create co-ops with. Like get creative so that you're taking care of yourself so that your family's thriving. I just think that that's super, super crucial in this process, especially for people that are just stepping into it.
That's beautiful. And Kaleena, since this whole thing, you have stepped into that role as, I don't know, whatever they call it these days, an influencer, a blogger, a Facebook Liver, but you are very active and involved and there as a support for these moms through social media. So where do you hang out? Where's the best place to kind of just stay connected or, you know, get involved with the community? And obviously the book's on Amazon. You guys can go get it there on Kindle for 99 cents. I'd imagine that price is not going to stay there forever. So I would go and get it today. But social media wise, where's the best place to find you guys?
So I absolutely love Instagram because I'm kind of like a chronic Insta story girl, and you can just kind of catch everything that's going on in our life on Insta stories. Just like our daily happenings from different curriculums and documentaries and podcasts that we're watching, I usually put there. We also have the 5 hours. So find me there on 5 Hour School Week. And then same on Facebook, 5 Hour School Week. I keep that pretty updated, and 5hourschoolweek.com. We have our blog and emotional intelligent page, and
it's like for people that like Facebook Lives and like reading the content, then Facebook is the best spot for it. For people that want to follow along with our day and like see what she's doing every day, all day long with the girls, then Instagram. And then
I try to put out a monthly blog on our website, and and sign up for our newsletter on our website. You can go sign up for our newsletter. I put out a monthly newsletter, keep everybody up to date. We actually have a family theme song we're going to be releasing. So there's just like lots of fun stuff that we're doing with our newsletter and that's coming up. So I definitely say go sign up for that.
We tries to be everywhere. So it just depends on what people like. People like Instagram, she's there. People like Facebook, she's there.
Yeah.
So the book is called The 5 Hour School Week, an inspirational guide to leaving the classroom to embrace learning in a way you never imagined. And that is the #1 bestseller in non-formal education right now on Amazon. And then it is 5 Hour School Week, spelled out FIVE, hourschoolweek.com. And it looks like there's tons of cool pictures and resources on there as well. Guys, this was great. I am very grateful for this conversation, but I know that there are a ton of people who I've already seen. I mean, the comments were evident. This was the most happening Facebook Live. And I don't know if it's because we did it at 6:30 in the morning our time. People are chipper and ready. Or if they're currently dealing with their kids and the house is a mess. I remember what my house was like at 7:30 in the morning, trying to rush out before we were, late in LA traffic and the whole thing. So anyways, you guys are doing an amazing thing. And I just can't thank you enough. Anything else for the parents or the moms out there before we sign off for today?
Just thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
thanks for having us on here. This was a super fun conversation. It was fun to get to catch up with you and talk about it and catch up with the one-lifers and everybody out there. We just want people to be able to educate themselves and go out there and try to live their happiest life.
Live their happiest life.
Go get the book, guys, and go follow up and hang out with them on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll see you on the next One Life podcast.